We have Alan, who shot some video for us, joining us on the phone. Alan, thanks for taking this video for us and getting it to us. And if you could just kind of walk us through what your morning was like going through this.
It was a unique sound, like a sonic boom, and that was about 10:55, almost 11 a.m. And I thought it was an earthquake because things rattled and knocked off the shelves, and I'm a quarter mile from the bomb site, the explosion, and I never heard anything that unique except early on in my journalism career. I was a reporter once. I heard a jet crash, an A7 blow up in a street in Tucson near the University of Arizona, and it was the most unique sound. And I thought for sure a helicopter had crashed, or again, a sonic boom. Maybe it was a Musk rocket that took off. And I never identified it. Neighbors were out, horns were honking from alarms, and I was, like I said, a quarter mile away. I got on my bike, rode up there, and took a look, and fire were just responding the same time I was, and it was just so unbelievable because it was so little smoke, and the smoke that went straight up, and it wasn't a lot, but things were blowing out about at least a block around the site. And the big surprise to me was the unique sound of that explosion. I'll never forget it this far away.
If you could, I know we always hear fireworks this time of year as we lead up to July 4th, and then occasionally we'll hear one that sounds a little different. Was it deeper? Was it the fact that you might have felt it? If you could try and put into words what was so different about this sound that you hadn't heard before.
Exactly. It was a shock wave. It was like a wave of energy that hit the glass first out to the front of my house. It faced the Desert Medical Center, but clearly blocks away. And I saw the glass, it was rattling, and then the boom, and it knocked glasses on shelves around. It knocked a few knickknacks that are in my kitchen, and I was stunned, and the dogs were stunned. They didn't even bark. They just looked at me like, is this safe? And that's what everybody felt. I went out to the driveway, and neighbors were starting to come out and was like, are we safe? Is that – because you couldn't see any smoke. You didn't know what was going on. It was just that blast. So I thought it was just a unique rocket ship. And then I guessed that it had to be near the hospital, and I just figured the gas, what they use in emergency care, something wasn't secure and probably blew up at the hospital. And when I got there, people were running my way against it. And I thought, this is really unique. And then it wasn't the hospital. It was across the street in a very small explosion space for such a huge noise and a big shock wave that was felt now, I believe, at least 2 miles away from it.
Yeah.
It was really unique to see only one building blowing out and blowing through. And I went behind it before the firemen came, and there was a guy and his wife back there, and he said he was an explosive guy. I know you were talking to one earlier, and he said that had to be a car bomb because it's blasted from this courtyard where he and I were looking, and it went out to the east, and we were in the west part of the building, the courtyard where the car was smoldering, and there were car parts all over the place, bumpers and ripped siding, and he said that had to be a car bomb, and the way it fanned out. And then, of course, police came, firemen, and they were very nice, actually, and just said, step aside, you probably should get out of here. We don't know if it's a single explosion, which made sense. And so we scattered and got our pictures and looked around, and at least that half-mile radius, I never saw such destruction except maybe the Northridge earthquake.
Yeah, Alan, you mentioned that you got there, pretty quickly before even some emergency responders. What was it like? Was it busy? Was it not busy? What was it like when you first got there?
I was surprised that I wouldn't call it chaotic. It was just people were stunned, and there had to be 200 or 300 people that left their houses and hotels nearby and were just wandering around looking nervous, maybe scared, I'm sure. And it was uncomfortable. And the surprise to me was the hospital, that there were no gurneys, no paramedics, nobody but fire and police were showing up right after us at that scene, and it wasn't really secure yet. That they got their hoses out immediately and started watering down. And I was expecting, sadly, human remains, body parts from something like this, but nothing. But I'm sure it had to be a car bomb because it looked like it was in the middle of a courtyard. It was a smoldering car, which I had a picture of. The fire hose just got there about the time I'm taking the picture, and it looked like everything had blasted to the east. But people were pretty surprised and stunned, hopeful, talkative. And the big surprise is I can't believe more people weren't hurt, because the parts of the car and glass were a good 3, 4, 5 blocks around that explosion area.
Wow.
And it was in the street and parking areas, and people's car shattered and broken.
Yeah.
It's just so odd.
Yeah, and it looks like that car was sent all the way across that courtyard from the building front to the middle. Alan, I want to thank you. Thanks for putting your reporter hat on for us again, and doing what you do best. We really appreciate it. Thank you for watching and for letting us know what you see.